The first layer of the painting is nice and simple, a solid coat of blue. By doing this, my painting will be a unity from the start. I use King's Blue Light. It's a soft, warm blue color, not too light, not too dark. It's nearly always the basic color of my skies. By the way, this painting is done in oils, base layer included. When the blue layer is dry, and that's pretty fast since I used liquid light gel, I do the drawing with a grease pencil or a China marker. It's useful for drawing on hard, glossy, non-porous surfaces. I'm not using the dry brush technique on this layer yet. That'll come in the next layer. I block in the clouds with a solid color, a mix of King's Blue Light, yellow ochre, and perhaps needless to say, liquid light gel. Because these colors are almost opposite each other on the color wheel, they form a gray when mixed. The rule still holds true. Complementary colors form a gray when mixed. Adding titanium white to the mixture gives the gray the right lightness. The image taped to the wall at top left is the oil sketch I made in preparation for this painting. A preliminary study like this can be quite useful. By doing it, I found out I wanted to use this exact mixture for the gray background of my clouds. I'm anticipating the light-dark contrast by painting wet on wet the areas that will eventually become the clouds or highlights. A lighter background makes it easier to make the highlights really shine. Adding a ground layer for the shadows as well. My favorite makeup brush to smooth out the transitions, and the cloud is ready for the dry brush technique. That is, after the paint has dried overnight. Because I use a fast-drying medium, the drying process is accelerated so much that I can continue working on the painting the next day. Titanium white, a little brilliant yellow, and no medium. I use Old Holland paints, which are quite dry, making mixing pure paint a bit awkward. Some people prefer a palette knife, but I stick to my synthetic brushes. I apply the paint roughly in the shape of the bulges in the cloud. Then it's my thumb's turn. I should really call it the dry thumb technique. If you're uncomfortable using your thumb, you can replace it with a small stipple brush like this one. Just make sure to leave some space between the bulges where you can still see the background. Those spaces are crucial for suggesting the darkest part of the bulge's shadow. Make sure the lightest part of a curve isn't directly against the edge. If you do, it will look like a cutout. Painting it a little away from the edge will make it nice and round. With my indispensable makeup brush, I remove the thumbprints that always appear when you use your thumb as a tool. Instead of a makeup brush, you can use a badger hair fan brush, but because it's pure paint, I prefer the firmer makeup brush. Using the dry brush technique, I've laid the groundwork for a decent cloud. If I touch up the beach and dunes a bit more, I'd have a decent painting. But as you can imagine, I want to perfect the cloud even further, so I'll briefly walk you through the next steps. If you're only interested in the dry brush technique, you can maybe scroll down to the end of the video for the final result. I want the shadows to blend more smoothly into the light areas of the cloud. I'm using the same mix as I did for the cloud's base layer, King's Blue Light and Yellow Ochre, with a slightly stronger emphasis on the King's Blue. I added a little indigo to the mix to darken the shadows of the upper part of the cloud. This takes it more to the front, giving the entire cloud an increased sense of 3D. And a little darker. Same with the bottom of the big cloud. It's an underrated aspect of sky painting. The clouds floating in a higher layer, giving the sky as a whole a greater sense of space. I use quite thin paint here, allowing the blue of the sky to shine through, making the feathery clouds appear fainter and therefore further away. The front of the large cloud is a bit too yellow, so I'm painting a glaze of white with a touch of vermilion red over the yellow layer. Because I really only want a hint of red, I'm partially wiping the glaze away. This way you can still see the subtle differences in the underlayer. Now all there's left to do is work on the dunes and the beach, and I'm finished. See you next time.